Because now it's going, see?
Okay.
It's going through there. I don't think it's going through the microphone.
That's unfortunate. Anyway, hey everybody. Sorry for being so late and having technical difficulties in the beginning. If you're rewatching this, everything always works perfectly. I don't know what you're talking about. We always get everything done right. So yeah. Lots of things have happened in our lives. Just a few. We apologize for basically not streaming for months. My job really took up a lot of time. Then kids took a lot of time, and then there's just no good place to stream on our house. You guys watched a few of those streams, you would have seen it. But then, as you guys, if you've been paying attention, know we, I should probably give people a chance to show up. But
Yeah.
it's good to be back, nonetheless. I hope you enjoy the shirt. It's one of our favorite psalms. But I'm sorry for being all over the place. We're a little rusty and tired. Got the kids to sleep. We're fighting technical stuff all day. But I'm here to announce a Kickstarter. And my real name, if you hadn't picked it up, it's not like I hit it that hard. My name's Aaron Dowdy, not RP Grizzly. Oh, I know. RP Grizzly was fun while it lasted, but it's time to go by the real name. And we have started a Kickstarter because I was fired from my principal position for trying to encourage my students to read. And I wish I was exaggerating, but the details actually make it worse. Because you see, my method for doing this was I was reading War and Peace around them at break time. Sitting at their tables, reading it, trying to get their attention. I also did a book I was hoping would, trying to pick things that might pique their interest. Another one I did was The Art of War. And if you know that one, right, the supreme art of war is to basically not fight at all and win. Irony. The point is, I made some progress. I even got one student who I gave him a book and he read all on his own. Like this was not the student to ever read on his own time ever for any reason, and it was nice.
I had no time for books.
But apparently, picking War and Peace was a problem. One of the craziest things I've ever experienced, by the way, and I have family on the board and all this stuff. Like
your aunt was the head school teacher.
Yeah.
And your uncle was the president of the whole board.
And so it's incredibly strange to have this moment where I'm sitting there and they're telling me they're firing me, and they get to this one point of their long list of lots of bull, exaggerated, and some outright lies. And I'm told, there's just a sentence that says, read War and Peace while around students. With no context, I'm sitting here going, this is a negative? Principal reading around students? And it got worse because I encouraged them to clarify, as you do, and they were like, because you were trying to spread your worldview. Ooh, a dangerous worldview from War and Peace that, maybe you shouldn't go to war with fops in charge of your army, I guess. I don't know. Or like, if you've read War and Peace, it's not really a go get 'em warfare kind of book, if you know what I mean. It's almost, a lot of tragic stuff happened in the war, showing that none of them have actually ever read the book. And that's kind of where this started.
Or the manual that you were told to read. You did read.
What parts of it? Enough of it to know
that they weren't following them.
Yeah, I read the manual up to the point where I found out they weren't following the manual. I admit, they were like, you didn't read the manual. They never read the manual. If they would have known, that they weren't following the manual. But
you still got it.
But you'll realize in life, I have come after a lot of hard lessons to learn that when people want you gone, they want you gone no matter what. Doesn't matter the positive things you've done. In this case, literally, they just waved it away. I pointed out all these things I have done, and they just went, we're not saying you didn't do anything wrong, but right, because they wanted me gone. When you're in that position in life and people want you gone, they're going to make any excuse to get rid of you.
Excuse, not invite you, not even mention you, stop talking to you, just
well, and that's just a hard fact of life. When people want you gone, they're gonna act hypocritical, they're not going to care, because the goal is to get you out of there. The goal isn't actually the stop any of the behavior, it's to get you gone. And usually you can kind of glean what they're actually mad about through what they bring up and what they sat on. And it was this my worldview.
You did your job better than they did. They didn't like it.
They really hated the worldview a lot. And remember, this was a small Christian school, guys. This wasn't public school or anything. It is homeschool.
We were considering your sons to go.
Yeah, this
while
was
you were still working.
It's homeschool or die for sure now.
Yeah.
There's no way around it. But I'm not here to and I don't even want to keep talking about it because they just highlighted to me how illiterate all these school boards are. Even the ones you think are good. They're illiterate. They don't understand the classics. They don't understand the books that should be read. They don't actually care about the students. What they care about is the numbers or in their legacy, their personal stuff, right? It's not about the students. And that was really highlighted to me through this whole experience. They didn't care because I was a recent, the principal before me actually died while he was principal. And I was the next principal that they had. And they, took me away with no warning to the students or anything. There was no smooth transition, nothing. So now, a whole host of kids who got used to me just lost me.
Ask for help and all that.
Out of nowhere with no warning. They're going to come back next semester because they waited till summer, of course. They waited for me to get their graduation all pretty and all this other stuff, right? It was a group effort, but I did a lot of the work. And then those kids are going to come back and they're not going to recognize it. Honestly, I highly doubt they're going to find a principal. They admitted some things to me, by the way. We were in the hiring process that they had been looking for 6 months and I was their only candidate. It's kind of funny. They
even said no one would move into a small town. Desert town.
Well, a dying town. This town is full of boomers and it's dying. Half the students aren't even living in the town. They live in surrounding towns that make sense to live in. Like this town, it's not going to be here once the boomers are gone. Okay, this town existed for certain. I have a little dog who wants to be a part of this process. She's smiling at me. Yeah. Oh, okay. Yeah. Let's be careful.
Not this.
We're gonna knock down the computer. Okay. You guys remember Rosie. But I don't even want to talk that much about it. This town's gonna be gone in, I don't know, 20-ish years. Then when all the boomers die, no one's gonna want to stay around here. The boomers were the only reason why money was here. And when they're gone, nobody else is gonna want to live here.
It's all gonna dry up like a
Well, it's already dry, hilariously. Like it's just gonna turn into the desert around it. It's gonna be just another one of those dots on the map that's not even a dot anymore. And there's just dead husks. Like if you've driven through the desert, you've seen it. You just look out and there's like these exits, and there's just these husks rotting away. That's gonna be this town in like 20 years. It might take a little longer because they have some bigger gas stations here. People like Taco Bell, but there's another Taco Bell 40 minutes away. So
Mexico's not that far.
To explain the whole kind of chain of events, they moved us out here. I really appreciated that. But we also took a lot of sacrifices, right? They were willing to do that because they couldn't find anybody else, right? So they were willing to take a chance on a young guy, whatever. They really liked my whole interview process, all this other stuff. They raised some money, they got us out here, blah, blah, blah. We were willing to take pay cuts, and part of the stipulation was actually kind of expected that we would be on food stamps just to kind of put this in perspective, when we're 4 kids, we took a house, the only house available. It was only available if I kid you not, we were all set for moving out here, and we didn't have a house to move into till
So
like 2 weeks before we moved, if not the week. Was that the
it was
week?
the week.
Yeah.
And then they weren't ready for us for 3-4 days
After that, yeah,
after that.
we had to. We stayed in the church parsonage for a bit because there was no pastor back then, and
Oh yeah, because that pastor,
no,
died.
yeah,
The one that started the school.
yeah, awkward situation there. But to put it in perspective, this house had black mold in it while we were here. The toilet leaks. The sink still has not been turned on in the bathroom. The dishwasher doesn't work
Fixed. The walls literally bulging,
on the outside,
and it's not even the main,
and
the original part.
yet we were willing to do that because we wanted to work with kids. We wanted to work with you for the next generation. We were willing to do that. And I'm not gonna pretend to be a saint. I just really wanted to. Yeah, a little bit of career stuff, sure. It'd be nice to. It was a nice jump from being a fry cook to a principal. I'm not gonna lie. There's some respect points and stuff, but really, all the changes and everything.
Get more respect from kids than you did from.
True. And they called me bald and fat, and I still felt more respected from them. But that's
One
okay.
of them looked at an old photo of you. He's like, "What happened?"
I got old and fat. God, I got to deal with that. Oh, I could. But
You are.
I don't want to talk too much about them because honestly,
It don't
it's
matter.
gone and done.
It doesn't matter.
It's utterly proven to me that there is no hope anywhere. I was hoping that little schools like this could turn into something, right? Could turn into something, a nice counter to all this crazy stuff. Like me in a principal position might be able to push things, right? But you always learn the hard way that just because you're nominally put in charge doesn't mean anyone's going to listen to you, and doesn't mean they're not going to just get rid of you. And I definitely could have thrown my weight around a little bit more. I took more of a passive role because I was new and I was trying to learn everything, and figured my second semester is when I, go in. But cat, there's a cat on our microphone. Well, they fired me before I had a chance to do any of that. And screw all that. I do feel for the students, but we have to look to the future. And it's one of those things of, if everyone around them is going to stop me, there's nothing I can do anyway. But now I have a cat under me distracting me. This is the night I was fired. It was so out of the, like, in retrospect, you always see the signs. And I even saw some of the signs at the moment, but I told myself it was the end of the year. It was graduation. Everyone's stressed. Right? Oh, by the way, I had multiple times of them, like, teachers telling me how happy I was there. Board members so happy with how I handled meetings.
People and they're like, "Oh,
You're the
you're
principal's
Mr.
wife.
Wife.
Yeah, all this excitement and stuff.
We're so happy."
And then I get called into a meeting, a surprise meeting right after graduation, and we're firing you. Yeah, this is really hard for us, but we're letting you go. I'm just like, what?
It's not for you.
But
It's hard for you to kill chicken.
I want to get past that. I'm sorry. Because how do we help the youth when everyone around them, from their parents to their teachers to these school boards to everything, won't allow them to be helped? Right? If they can't handle War and Peace being not read to them, not told for them to read, just read around them. Keep in mind, right? I was just trying to encourage them to read. I wasn't reading to them. I wasn't. Okay, you know what? I will say one time When they were asking me for stuff, I exchanged reading a page out of War and Peace for that thing. Okay, I did. I admit it. I thought it was pretty creative myself, you know. I want to print this out of the school printer. All right, can you read this page out of War and Peace? Let's
That's
go.
hilarious.
It was great. It would challenge their minds, vocabulary they never heard before. It was a good time. No. Right. If that's too much for these people, and this is, by the way, the best situation you could ever hope for in a school. Small, part of a church, very Christian, very committed, at least verbally, to the students, right? If this can't work here, then it's not going to work anywhere in any education system unless you've started that school yourself. Okay? Unless you've started it yourself from scratch. So, the night I got fired, I could not sleep at all. God kept me up with an iron vase on my heart till 3 in the morning. I get up and I just start pacing the tiny little halls. Thank God my children didn't wake up.
With creaking floors.
Creaking floors, uneven, bubbly floors. God, this place is gonna fall apart.
Not to mention Daffy.
Maybe. Okay. What? And God brought this project to my attention. It changed a lot before we finally got to where we are today. And it took a good month of work to get it done. But
It's like you're not doing anything else but this project.
yeah, and it was, let me tell you, it's scary. It's still scary. Scary. I'm sorry, I go
Are you gonna
to
say the scary part?
it's
About the
scary.
landlord?
Well, because in the midst of all this, our landlord, an old guy who's been really nice to us to this point, but you know, it's a mutual thing because, as I pointed out, mold in the walls, things not working, things not getting fixed.
You got this place for cheap.
Yes, he bought it for 30,000. He's selling it for like 150,000. He's selling it, and apparently, the buyer he's talking to now wants to live in it. I don't. These must be some really desperate people, or he's oversold it to them. I don't know. Because this is not a place you want to live for long. And
We don't know how far they are in the process,
we don't.
so it's getting
Really, really terrifying.
scary.
But at the same time, you know, even if I had gotten a job at this point, I wouldn't have gotten much money. You gotta understand, I would have had to have. You're not going to jump from being fired from a $30,000 position to like a $50,000 position. It's not going to happen, right? So, ranging $30,000 to $40,000, we'd only have time for like a paycheck and a half,
Which is
assuming
not
we got
enough.
hired within a couple of weeks.
And then if you found different housing,
If
and you're not gonna find one in this town, you have to go to a different town.
yeah. So, in reality, listening to God on this one has been one of the most terrifying things I've ever done in my life. But I've come for this process and I've seen and I've realized just how the next generation is completely used and cast aside by the older generations. Now, I've seen it before, but like just to see, because when I was in that school board meeting and I brought up these points about how, you're wrenching people away from these kids and all this other stuff, I could see on their faces the idea hadn't even crossed their minds and they didn't care either. Right?
Yeah,
The idea
more
that
about the
maybe-
dead guy than the
the idea that that I was brought up that I was helping the kids learn to read, didn't even care. Wasn't even part of their process. And I realized it's because they didn't actually care about the kids. No, him and Hall, they'll claim it, but no.
It wasn't in their speeches at the graduation.
Yeah. And that was like the last straw and everything else I'd seen in my life. And I realized no one sacrifices for these generations. No one does anymore. There's no feeling that dad works himself for them. And I know the people in our stream are usually the exceptions on this. are the exceptions on this. I don't know where I said usually.
Usually.
Usually. Actually.
Oh gosh, no. No.
But God's led me to this, and I do it willingly because someone's got to let these kids know that they are worth sacrificing for. Excuse me for getting all emotional. I'm sick of these older people who think the world ends with them. This chair, by the way, I think is the perfect example of what the house is like. It barely functions, but leaning it in the wrong way and it will fall apart. Oh, I don't need that necessarily, but I appreciate you, wife. And so much is going to be required of the next generation. I mean, for Pete's sake, we're bombing Iran now, right? Because that's what we needed. Another conflict, right? I already saw videos of like all the Marines crowding around the TV sets, wondering, right? Wondering, is this them being sent? All these weird rumors about the Nimitz being hit in a false flag stuff, right? Oh, only rumors. Certainly would never happen, the experts say. They're going to have such a task ahead of them. And right now, they got to be wondering why should they sacrifice for a civilization that's just cast them aside. And yet, their best hope is to build something better out of all this. So, I know, big words, tears, oh my God. But the only tools God's given me right now, and the thing He called me to do, was to make a book specifically designed for a generation that's facing the end of a political paradigm. Pax Americana is dying before their very eyes. A tidal wave of destruction comes their way, and yet they need to face it with a smile. Not a Joker, wild, oh, we're all gonna die, let's have fun smile. No, we're gonna fight anyway. We're gonna fight the shade. The boomers, the Gen Xers, the millennials, they didn't fight. They will. I was from their. I know I messed it up. I should have said, but we will. But I'm not part of their generation. But God has put me through a perspective to understand just what they're going through financially. And just the lack of hope on that front at all. Just the facing everything and going, well, I guess we're all going to die now. And I want for them a story that speaks to them. Like, understand, part of the reason why Tolkien is still popular even today, even though it's still Lord of the Rings is hard for the average person to read these days, is because it's all about a collapsing world that yet finds a way to build back better afterwards, to build something into destruction of all of it. That despite the overwhelming odds, they succeed. But even if they had failed, they would have fought together at the end. See, that's the story they need right now. The encouragement between each other to fight even when it looks hopeless. Have an interrupting cat, Brat. And so this is the book. I planned on writing a book this summer. Don't get me wrong. I wasn't expecting to put it on Kickstarter till it was till later on in the process because of all this. I had to do it sooner, and we had to make it because no Kickstarter, No book for sure. Honestly, probably, as you heard, could literally be homeless for a little while here. So we need your guys' help a lot. But it's more than just charity. It's building something for the next generation. It's letting them know that not all of us don't care. Just that sometimes that's all somebody needs to keep going. So, I don't know about you, but I'm not going to be like all those annoying boomers who go, "Oh, but I'm one of the good ones." No. Us millennials, man, we've really sucked. My my sisters, oh, don't get me started. We were dealt a bad hand, but we made it worse. Gen Xers, I like you guys a lot. You were dealt a bad hand, but like us, you made it worse. You didn't fight for it. And we can all hate on the boomers together. I think we can all agree on that. That's a lot of fun. But I'm here because despite all that, I'm going to keep fighting. And I already see the fight still in the next generation. Though the problem is, because of all this stuff breaking down their education and pushing them away from classics and good books and high art and just what's worth living for, they flounder about, can't band together, don't know what to fight or what to protect. You can see it in Gamergate a lot, right? Just that willingness to fight back and be brutal about it, but being almost completely ineffective after a little while because they don't know who or what they're fighting. Not really. So they can't galvanize against them. Only being able to read and comprehend. And the rising of the mind. Like I did, you should watch my video and read the article and read the. Well, I got to write that article. Shoot, I mixed up my articles. But if you read the Kickstarter, I get into it. How reading elevates the mind and forces it to grow while at the same time not denigrating things like video games and movies. Because, too many times, us literary types, right? We thumb our noses down at video games and all this other stuff. But guess what? We didn't fight back. Video gamers did. I mean, doesn't that kind of say something? Maybe we have something to learn both ways, not just one way. We didn't fight back at all. Gamers did, but they didn't know how or who to fight. So, I want to bring the books forward. And it's important we come this way because when you just denigrate the games, right? Then the next generations tune out. Because instantly to them, you're now a boomer. You're now one of those old people who just hate on me because, oh, they think I'm lazy or something, right? You gotta overcome that. But I'm starting with this book because they need something written to their generation in this time. Tolkien's books are amazing, and I don't think I can ever match up to him, but he was writing for his time and the collapse of the British Empire and everything around it. They need stuff that's written for them, that gets their attention because it's what they're going through. And hopefully can speak to future generations that'll run into the same problems, run into the same rampant, wild corruption of nonsense. Because my brain's tired, it's past 10 o'clock. Take care of children.
And you eat usually 24
Yeah,
hours.
you're not supposed to tell people
shoot.
when you fast, wife.
Sorry.
God, you see her tattle on me. Now I'm a Pharisee. Gosh dang it. No. Well,
Love her,
on a
man.
positive note, yes, you should fast in the right moments when God calls you to. It's good for you. Keep wanting to say Copernicus. That's not right. Carthage. Yeah, Carthage nonsense. Carthaginian nonsense. See,
Cathartic.
This is why reading is important. If you don't know the history of Carthage, or at least parts of it, you don't know what I'm even talking about. Human sacrifice. Lots of crap. Rome said no. It's okay.
See, I didn't read.
Yeah,
when I
it's
was
all
younger.
right. Well, you weren't given that either.
No, I wasn't.
Yeah, you know. And so I want to start introducing books to the youth that'll hopefully lead to them reading more, reading classics and history and all that stuff. And one day I want to make video games too, to just raise everything up. And you know what? Because these people who are trying to stop us are so illiterate, they're not going to bother to read the books their kids are reading. Hoisted on their own petard. Who cares? Right? God will get away. And this is just one of the tools he wants to use. Yeah, that's pretty much my story. Sacrificed a bunch, got kicked out. God told me to do something crazy, and I did. And I hope you guys will join us on this wild little crusade of ours to hopefully get young people reading again.
So we're gonna be all the book stuff gonna be on the other channel.
Yes, we're probably going to put all of the new channel. Oh, I should have put a link in the description. I'll have to do that later. The new channel called Big Sky Ship Studios. Right, we're going to put most of the book stuff on there. We'll probably eventually start streaming over there first, but I wanted to at least do 1 or 2 streams here for all you guys who have been with me for this whole time, so that you know what's going on and can follow us over there if you want. I'm probably going to be deleting a lot of the old stuff on this channel just so they can't chase me with copyright, or not that the stupid excuses they always come up with to delete channels. And
TikTok won't put up your video from about
hilarious.
Yeah.
My short on the other channel, you should look it up. They're claiming there's some kind of alcohol or some
tobacco
usage,
or something.
and
you're literally standing in front of a tree
Yeah.
in a desert.
In a desert. I don't know. Wife suggested that maybe they thought the tree was pot, but I have no idea. Like, it doesn't look like.
That's how illiterate they are. They don't even.
That's the AI, to be fair. I don't know what's going on. Funny, YouTube had no problems with it, but TikTok did. I don't know. China doesn't like deserts. Don't blame him. Gobi sucks.
I think it's cold on it.
I mean, all deserts get cold in the right altitude. Anyway, I think we're gonna cut this stream a little short. The kids took a while to take to bed, and the link to the Kickstarter is in the description. I probably should have shared or planned this out more. We'll be doing more streams. Next stream will be Wednesday. Wednesday? Or did I say Tuesday? No, Tuesday. Next stream will be Tuesday, but there'll be more content every day. I'm going to be releasing like 1,000-word episodes on Archaven and on Royal Road and on Substack, so you guys get an idea of what the book's going to be like. It's about paladins and fighting undead and being stuck in a stasis field for 3,000 years. It's great. It's a good time. And we're going to be building a world with this that we can make some games in, and lots of side books and all sorts of stuff. So it's going to be a good time. And I hope you'll join us. This is a wild little roller coaster ride that God's dragging us along.
I don't know what it looks like, but interesting.
Yeah. There were no chats. They were just drive-by likes. All right, guys. We'll catch you guys next time. We know it's late. Sorry to make it so late. You got to stream when the kids are asleep.
We're in a different time zone now.
That too.
So.
God damn it. But make sure you leave in the comments if you leave comments and stuff if you watch this later on, because I like feedback. I want to hear it out.
Let us know how the sound is too.
Oh, please. New setup. Have it new. Hey, no, that's not you, dog. Okay. All right, we're actually going to do it now.
All right.
Bye, guys. Catch you later. This is, now Aaron Dowdy signing out. And, join the Kickstarter. Have some fun. Read some great books in the process while you crusade.
Bye-bye.
That second click every time.